Hey guys, it's Kevin, and I just wanted to kind of shoot this video here. There's kind of something that's come up here this week that I really found deeply disturbing, and it's really in regards to kind of what's going on here in the city that I live in, the city of Mississauga, once again. And this is kind of more of a follow-up video to that video I did a couple weeks ago on the fact that they're actually turning this city into a smart city. So the 5G system, it's going up fast. I took a few measurements to kind of show you what the power density, the wireless radiation power density readings are in the city at just some regular kind of street corner in here in Mississauga. And the readings I was getting was quite alarming. And since I shot that video, a few people have been kind of asking me, what do these numbers mean? Why is it, how can you say that these numbers that are high, how can you say that they actually have any effect on our health? What are you basing this on? And these are good questions. I should have kind of addressed that in that video, but I did put a link down below that video that I did on the smart city there. I put a link to the Building Biologist organization, and I've kind of linked their PDF there to, really it's the more or less the building biology code, and it kind of goes through everything that they look at and in great detail. So I kind of highlighted a specific page there that kind of shows you, the wireless radiation component and what's acceptable and what isn't, and a whole bunch of data on that. So you can read that if you'd like. And I figured I'd just kind of throw that in there because some people have been asking me. But this video here is just kind of a follow-up on that, because I came across some information earlier this week about the fact that they're actually getting ready, they're planning here in Mississauga to be spraying an insecticide on all over the city. This Foray 48B, they're actually using it to try and control what's called gypsy moths. The gypsy moths are here. They're supposedly, destroying all our trees. They're eating all the leaves. They're pretty much destroying a lot of things, and they're kind of growing out of control. So this insecticide is here to kind of, help kind of stop that, essentially, is kind of what they're targeting or what they're trying to do. And this was really alarming to me because, well, number one, I've had chronic Lyme disease. So this is something that I've been struggling since, 2011. And I've actually got myself into a very good place here, last couple of years. And it's been a lot of work to get here. And I live here in Mississauga, and I'm outside every day. I'm out here working outside, and the fact that I heard that they're going to be spraying this insecticide all over the city, I was, some alarm bells started going on, and for Jesse and I, ever since we found out about that. And I've really kind of been researching this and looking into this more deeply, and I found some things, and I kind of wanted to share you guys, and kind of give you guys an update on this, because there's some information you guys need to know. And this insecticide that they're going to be spraying on us here in Mississauga, it's something that's actually called Foray 48B. This is the technical name for this insecticide. And it's manufactured by a company called Valent Biosciences. And they're in the United States. Their headquarters is in Illinois. So I kind of did a little bit of research on this chemical, and I went to their website, and I kind of pulled up the MSDS sheet, the material safety data sheet for this insecticide. So I started reading it, and I found some things. I found some things that were very interesting, that were kind of open-ended, that really left more questions for me. And one of them was that actually what this is made of. And when you look at this MSDS sheet here, you can see that really the key components in this insecticide, you can see that there's 12.65% of it. It's actually the insecticide itself, that particular strain. And if you look at it also here, down below, there's a list of non-toxic ingredients, so they say, and that makes up about 87% of the rest of this insecticide. But there was really no information on any of that. So I wasn't, I wasn't too happy with that, and I decided to make some phone calls. I decided to make a phone call this morning, and I called the company directly. And when I called, I actually got somebody at customer service. They picked up the phone right away, and I kind of told them a little bit about what was going on here and kind of my concerns, and she was very, accommodating to that. Very polite, very helpful. She kind of put me in contact with one of the head chiefs of the technical side of things. And I couldn't get a hold of him, but she left a message for me, and she said that, he'll call you back right away. So I ended up hanging up, but surprisingly, within maybe 2-3 hours, he called me back. I kind of told him my concerns, my background. He was very, compassionate with the fact that I had Lyme disease, because he knows people himself that have Lyme disease that are just devastated from it. Their health, their lives are just completely disrupted by this. So he had nothing but sympathy and compassion for what I went through there. And I just kind of told him I'm a little bit concerned here that the city that I live in Mississauga, they're going to be just spraying this all over the place. And I really wanted to know kind of what was in this and what it's made of. Is there anything that I need to be worried about? Because I'm going to be outside all day, and probably some of you guys watching this, you're living here in Mississauga, you're outside all the time. Maybe you have kids, maybe you have pets, whatever. I mean, there's some serious reason to be concerned about this. So he really understood my situation, and I asked him, what is this thing made of? It says that 12.65% of this is that insecticide. That's fine, but what are the other 86%? What's in this thing? And his answer was actually pretty simple. It's an aqueous solution. So he says basically it's just made up of water and sugars. Now this is a proprietary technology, so he wasn't able to tell me exactly what was in it, but he said it was mostly just water and sugars and a few other ingredients that kind of make it sticky. So when you drop this stuff down from the sky, it actually sticks to everything. Sticks to the plants, sticks to the trees, to the leaves, sticks to your car windshield, everything. But what was interesting when he was saying this, he said that all of these ingredients that are in this are completely non-toxic, and this particular insecticide, it's actually certified organic. So that was interesting to hear that. And because my concerns was is there any VOCs in here? Is there any other type of compounds in here that can be really devastating to health? And he's like, no, of course not. We wouldn't even get a certified organic label if there were. And that was interesting to know. He said this is one of the rare insecticides that they make and they use around the world that is actually certified organic, because most of them, when they're spraying for this type of stuff to kind of control this type of stuff here in the environment, most of it is not actually certified organic, and it's it has its own other concerns. So this was a little bit reassuring too. I mean, I'm not sold on the idea of certified organic by any means. I don't think I think that label is kind of misleading in itself, but that gave me a little bit of reassurance to know that there's not really any toxic chemicals in this, at least that we know of. And I also showed him there was actually a PubMed study done on this particular insecticide, this Foray 48B, and there was a study done with about 292 people. They randomly selected these people about 10 days before they sprayed, and then they kind of went back to them several weeks after the spray to kind of fill out a questionnaire to see if there's any health issues that they were having. And it was surprisingly, the results were pretty, they're pretty extreme here in a way, because there's a lot of people, they did have, symptoms of this. And some of these symptoms that were, discussed in this PubMed study were, it can disrupt your sleep, get itchy throat, itchy nose, diarrhea, stomach issues. It can affect the upper airway, which is a very interesting one too, especially how it's connected to, this pandemic here and how it kind of disrupts the breathing and that type of thing. It can also disrupt your gastrointestinal system, and it can disrupt your neuropsychiatric system. So there's some significant symptoms that they reported with this particular strain that they're going to be spraying here in the city of Mississauga. And I told him this, the technical sales rep that I talked to about who's the manufacturer of this insecticide. And he was a little bit concerned about that, but he was actually quick to respond. And he was saying that really, there's been a lot of studies done on this, saying that this particular insecticide it is non-toxic. On its own, it's non-toxic. But there's a big but here. He actually said that it can have an effect on people who are immunocompromised. And he actually, we really use that specific word. And I found that very interesting, because here we are in the city of Mississauga, and they're already getting equipped with 5G. The wireless radiation signals are getting hammered. We're getting hammered here in Mississauga, and I've kind of shown you that. So that in its own right, the electromagnetic wireless radiation that we're dealing with, there's enough studies shown on this now that there is a means by how this can actually disrupt, the body's natural metabolic activity and cause a lot of inflammation and all kinds of different things. And it can even disrupt the immune system. It can kind of paralyze the immune system in a way. So there's enough studies shown out there that this is the impact, this type of wireless radiation can have. And at the same time, when you look at the power grid, this is a lot of work that I've been doing behind the scenes here too, is that the 60 hertz power that comes into your home, this in itself is a problem. And this can actually paralyze the immune system as well. And this comes in the form of the magnetic and the electric field components that are coming off the wires in your walls and ceilings, and all your devices that are plugged into the wall. And at the same time, there's the earth ground that's completely contaminated. And I've done a video on this to actually show you guys how contaminated this is with dirty electricity. And we're creating all kinds of ground loops. And this has its own problem, which I think is all connected here, that we could have a serious connection here that, the immune system has the potential to be compromised in a severe way, especially here in this city with everything that's going on. Now, when we go back to this insecticide that they're going to be spraying on us, even from the chief kind of sales director here, he's even saying that it can have an effect on people who are immunocompromised. And here we are in a city where we could be having an epidemic of immunocompromised people that live here. Now, I'm just saying potentially here. I know I'm throwing out some kind of bombs here, and I'm not saying, I'm not making any claims by any means, but just go out and look at the studies here. There's enough studies to show that this type of dirty electricity can cause some serious problems. So I was kind of putting all this together here as I was talking to this gentleman, and it got me even more concerned. I mean, he gave me a little bit of reassurance to kind of say that, this particular product, it's non-toxic, it's certified organic. The most of the ingredients are just water and sugar. So he didn't seem to have any reasons for any concern at all. It's been used everywhere, all across the globe. It's been used time and time again. The other thing he said, which is something very interesting here that I need to bring up here, is the fact that since it is a certified organic product, the food industry is using this religiously. So all your certified organic produce that you're buying in the stores, he said 100% that all of that produce in some way will have been sprayed with this particular insecticide. Now this got me a little bit even more alarmed. So this insecticide is just, it's in everything. It's almost impossible for us humans today not to have this in our body. That's kind of what I'm saying. Now, if it's on your food, it might be a little different story, because it's been on there for a while. A lot of it might have washed away. There's a lot of variables involved in this, as opposed to having it freshly sprayed on you from the sky, when it's kind of more in its active form, it's more potency there. So there is a difference here, I know, but I'm just saying that you guys need to know this, the fact that this particular insecticide that they're going to be spraying all over Mississauga, I mean, it's all over our produce, it's all over everything. And the fact that, the symptoms of this insecticide, some of the harsh symptoms can come to those who are immunocompromised. And I have a sense that we are majorly immunocompromised people when we're around this toxic electromagnetic radiation that's filling our skies, and it's radiating from all your wiring that's in all your walls and ceilings in your home, and all your devices, and the very ground that you walk on. So here we are, we're just getting hammered by dirty electricity in all types of forms, and like there's some serious, this is a serious disaster I'm seeing in the making here. If we actually go through with this and start spraying this all over the city, because what we could be doing is inducing some serious chronic suffering for a lot of people. And since this insecticide, some of the symptoms, especially one of the big one, is the fact that it kind of, you know, attacks the breathing, the airway, you know, inside our lungs. And that's one major symptom with this pandemic that's happening right now. So if they start spraying this stuff and people all of a sudden have all these problems pop up, I mean, this could be just connected into, you know, maybe inducing like a fifth or sixth wave of this pandemic, possibly, when it may have actually nothing to do with it. It may have everything to do with this toxic chemical that they're just hammering us, not, you know, on top of the electromagnetic radiation that they're hammering at us. So this city, guys, this city of Mississauga, I'm sensing that this city is under attack. And there's a great site here I'm going to put down at the bottom. I'm going to pop it up here too. Mississauga.com is one of them. Insauga.com or .ca, I'm not sure which one it is, but these two sites actually go through this gypsy moth aerial insecticide spray. They're going through it, and they got some pretty good interactive maps showing you which part of the city is affected. So if you live in the city, I definitely suggest you check that out. And at the same time, they're kind of doing a day-by-day schedule to kind of show you when they're planning to spray. They haven't sprayed yet. It's just planning stages. And there's also a video on there too that kind of shows just some more information about this particular aerial spray. So if you want to get some more information on what these guys are planning to do here. Now, if you are all concerned about any of this and you're resonating with anything that I'm saying here, I suggest you make a phone call or email these people here in Mississauga and tell them exactly that you don't want this. You don't want this in your city, and you're concerned about this. And I think more and more people get on board and start contacting these people and start flooding them with emails. We might have a chance to stop this, because I think if this goes underway and this goes to plan, I have a bad feeling here, guys, that we may induce a whole lot of, you know, disease-like chronic symptoms here, and the city could be in some serious trouble. Now, I want to kind of finish this video off with some kind of discoveries that I just kind of recently made as well. This particular gypsy moth, there's actually another PubMed study that I found, and it has to do with the magnetic field activity on this particular gypsy moth and its metabolic kind of response when they're kind of influenced by these magnetic fields. Now, the magnetic fields in this particular study, they were done at the extremely low frequency range. Now, the extremely low frequency range is actually usually between 1 and 300 hertz. It's a very lower frequency range that they used here, but it actually fits perfectly right into the electric power grid and the power that comes into your home, because that cycles at 60 times a second. If you're in North America, or if you're in Europe, this will be 50. And the studies that they did on these gypsy moths, they blasted them with magnetic fields in this extremely low frequency range. And what they found was that their metabolic activity, and specifically the neurosecretory neurons within the gypsy moths, and what these do is they synthesize insulin-like hormones. And what they found was when they blasted these gypsy moths with this low frequency type of magnetic field activity, they found a serious disturbance in these hormones. So the hormonal system of these gypsy moths kind of goes nuts when they're in these magnetic fields. Now, this was kind of a shocker to me, because this whole city is just infested with dirty electricity. Now, the discovery that I'm seeing here is connected into this video that I just recently did on earth plumbing current. This dirty electricity that's kind of flowing in the earth. And in my theory, it's actually what it actually could be doing is disrupting the earth's magnetic field. And it might be doing that by all of these ground loops that are forming within the earth. And these ground loops are forming inside the earth from essentially the way that we ground our electrical systems. Every home, every commercial building, all the utility, all the power that's running along these power lines, this whole system needs to be referenced to the earth. And they do it for safety. If you want to watch that video, I kind of go through this in more detail, but when we start grounding our power systems at different positions in the earth, when we start driving ground rods in the earth at one position and then we start doing it in another position, there is a potential difference here that can form. Because that position, even though it's earth ground, it's not exactly the same potential, truly, because there's a difference of resistance. So these connections, these ground connections that we're making, they're not true ground connections here. And in that video, I kind of proposed to you what it is that I think we're truly trying to ground to. And it takes us into really the true nature of electric current in my model, which is something that is not taught in schools today. I'm not talking about a conduction current or even a displacement current in electrical engineering, because those are the only two currents that we use. I'm talking about the true nature of electric current being something even deeper than that, and something that's truly universal. And in my electric field series, you'll see that I've kind of made some compelling arguments against, to support my theory on that. And when we start grounding our systems at different positions like this, ground loops can form, and it can disrupt that natural universal electric current that's there. And that's actually it's the engine that's actually driving the Earth's magnetic field. And in my model, that's Mother Nature's immune system. That's all Mother Nature's metabolic activity is present in that rotating magnetic field activity. Now, this is a different theory that I have doesn't comply to anything else that we have out there. Because everything that we have out there is based upon relativity. And I have a theory that goes into a place that's truly universal, which is the universal electric field. And I've kind of done some videos to kind of just show you guys how I think that works. And what I haven't talked about yet, which is the video I'm going to be doing next, is about the magnetic field and how the magnetic field is truly generated. And it's generated from this universal electric field, which is located inside the proton. And that proton is what connects all our nucleic acids together in DNA. That true nature of electric current is inside there, and it's universal. And it controls the Earth's magnetic field activity. Some call it the Schumann resonance because it's connected to that. And by forming these ground loops in the Earth, we are disrupting that. We are disrupting that natural metabolic activity here of Mother Nature. And it's done at that extreme low frequency range, which is at the 60 hertz and all the harmonics of that. Now, this is the theory that I have about what could be going on here. And everything in nature is connected to that Earth's magnetic field activity. That's the true information field in my model. And everything that is driving nature is permanently, perfectly resonating with that activity all the time, including these gypsy moths. And looking at this PubMed study saying that magnetic fields in the 60 hertz range, which is something that I think we're inducing by all these ground loops that are forming in the Earth, it can artificially kind of generate that magnetic field in a sense and disrupt, say, the gypsy moth's kind of metabolic activity that they're trying to tune into. And it could be shown by a lot of these insulin-like hormones that are happening. Now I know this is a loaded kind of topic here. It is. But I wanted to at least put this out there so you guys can kind of get a sense of where I'm going here, because these videos that I'm putting up there, I've already made a case for the electric field being universal. We already have science for this. We all have the mathematics to support this has already been derived. And what I'm putting the pieces together now is that actually the connection to the magnetic field. And it has everything to do with going inside that proton and the connection to that proton that we pretty much eliminated in physics and replaced it with quarks. Now I'm going about and trying to, put up a challenge to this model, because I don't think it's accurate at all. I think it's a carbon copy of something that's truly happening in a universal dimension of space that's just already there. We're trying to artificially copy that. So I'm gonna leave it at that. This next video that I'm gonna be doing is gonna be all about the magnetic field, and we're gonna get a little bit more in detail about this. So I'm gonna leave those details for that video, but I wanted to make the connection here. We've got these gypsy moths that are constantly going out of control here. This is not the first time this has happened. They actually sprayed this city back in 2018. They sprayed it again, I think, back in 2008 and again in 2007. So they continually keep doing this. And it clearly isn't working. Mother Nature is responding here, and it's doing what it needs to do. And instead of just spraying the city and trying to control nature the way that we want things to work, I think it's time we need to take a step back here and really look at something a little different here, because the intelligence of nature is something that we don't understand. It's not even a part of our science. All we're doing is just coming up with the science to try and find ways to control things. And I think we're making a big mess here. And I think it's now starting to show in, the Earth's magnetic field activity. This is where it's all going to present itself, and everything that's connected to that, including us, because we are all connected to this. Universally, we're all connected to this. And I think it's time to consider some new ideas, and some alarm bells need to be sent off here in this city before we really make a big mistake here. Especially now, because the environment is a little bit different than what it was, 4 years ago, the last time they sprayed. The levels of electromagnetic radiation in this city is just immensely higher than it's ever been. So it's not the same world. And I think this is going to play a big factor on how this is going to play out. And, potential, all these people, or many of the immunocompromised people here could be getting sick, and many people already are immunocompromised. And especially if you even have kids. If you've got kids and you got pets maybe that aren't well. And again, that website down below will give you all the information. If you're interested, and reach out to them, show them that you're not happy with this. You don't want it. And I don't think any of these scientists that are making these choices to spray this stuff, I guarantee that they would have never considered any of this. This is not on their radar. So anyway, I'm going to stop there. All right, guys, thanks for watching.